Through the dense trees, I could finally start to see some light. I must have been at the edge of the forest, though I wasn't sure where the path ahead of me led. I could almost feel the cryptic notebook in my pocket as I tried to think about what it could mean. And where were the campers who had abandoned their site? Would I meet them too? Though the path ahead of me was less dense, I still felt guarded and wary. Who knew what was ahead? Yes, indeed, who knew? As I stepped through the gate, I suddenly recognized the auto parts factory where I had worked as a machinist for all those years. The plant had closed almost 3 years ago now. Times were better then. I thought I could hear a faint rustling behind me. Maybe it was just the wind. Yep, clearly just the wind. Oh look, it's almost dawn. Interesting. What's through here? Oh, yes! Dug into the ground was a cracked old watch. It was mine. I bought it on a trip out west with Rachel. I barely went a day without wearing it. It didn't look like it worked anymore, and it was heavy. Did I take back my watch? Sure. Even though it no longer ran, I clasped the watch around my wrist. 'Cause nothing like crazy people watches. Not another victim. I took it from his uniform that he was a security guard there, just doing his job. His head had been severely beaten, and his face was covered with blood. Y'all, you're messed up, man. You killed like 3 people today at least. One of the lockers hung open. Its contents were tossed around like someone had been looking for something. Old work clothes had been picked through, and a few notes and photos had been ripped off the door and spread around. The door was locked shut, and there was a little electronic box under the handle. A sign was pasted to the front that said, "Danger, close for repair." There was a large power box with 5 lights on it. Cables burst out of the box, snaking off to other parts of the factory. The metal was starting to wear, and cobwebs had collected on the corners. The box wasn't receiving power. It opens this door. The door was locked tight. It seemed to be connected to the power box besides it. Okay, most of the time I have poor impulse control, and I have to do that thing where it messes up my leg more, and I have to jump through stuff, but this time I'm going to try being good. Every part of this plant smelled old and rotted. And I noticed the old bulletin board on the wall. Our old break table. The layer of dust and grime only made this seam and sting more. It looked like some beer bottles had been used on the table recently. I wondered, was that guard using this as a break room of his own? Or you and your crazy friend were coming here to murder people? Or something. The board contained yellowed clippings of newspaper cartoons and notices. There were notes to and from the guys that worked here. One of them was to Norman, who was one of the older guys on the line. Norman took over a general store after the factory closed. He, Rachel, and I would get lunch every now and then. Rachel liked him because he seemed more positive despite the setback. I don't think I could say the same about me. Pew! The power panel. Looked like it was shut off. Did I push the switch? Aw, yeah. I actually really like that noise. The open locker was stuffed with dirty work clothes and old boots. There was a photo of a woman taped to the inside, but it was scratched out and the face was unrecognizable. Well, that's not messed up at all. That woman's photo. I knew I had to get back to Rachel to find out what happened. I love that noise. It's so exciting sounding. It was shut tight. There was a rusty-looking card slot on the side. I don't like you, card slot. I don't want you in my life. No card slots for me, 'cause they're not OSHA compliant, 'cause they're locked behind your butt. The door had been hastily boarded up. Well, that's messed. That's definitely not OSHA compliant. This factory is terrible. Also, where is the machining happening? I'm just seeing a bunch of empty rooms. Generally speaking, machining involves a lot of machining equipment. This was Norman's locker. The door was dented, like someone had punched it. I don't remember him doing that when we worked there. My head ached, and I recalled the last time Norman, Rachel, and I had lunch together. Rachel seemed so much more at ease when we all hung out. Yes, it's not at all because you're a crazy person. Oh, I love that noise. It's so rewarding sounding. A utility shelf crammed with mismatched tools and items. There was a claw hammer on the shelf. Did I take the hammer? You took the hammer. As I took the hammer, I noticed it wasn't as dusty as the rest of the tools on the shelf. Being useful and productive there in this plant, that was all I ever wanted. When the factory closed, everything got worse. Including your rampant insanity! The locker was a complete mess. Hidden at the bottom, though, was a magnetic card. Did I take the card? No. I left the card in the locker. That will be temptation for me otherwise. Another panel that I hoped could get me to get the power back on. Did I push the switch? Yes. Actually, I better take that, because I don't remember if there's another way to actually get out of here or not. Push all the switch. Okay, now the power is back on. But I'm not going to go to that key card. What I'm going to go to is that crazy boarded up door first. Then I'm going to go downstairs. My cat is pooping. Yeah! I struck with the hammer. The old wooden boards came apart easily. Which is like, why even bother boarding it up in the first place then? After I had removed the planks, I left the hammer on the floor. You're a litterer. This was my locker there in the factory. It stank of booze. There was a picture of Rachel on the inside. It looked like it had been torn up. I thought I had taken that picture home when the factory closed. This room was nothing but bad memories. This locker arrangement doesn't make any sense. I don't think this person even knows what machinists do. There was a mess of empty booze bottles. I wondered if that man in the house had something to do with this. He sure had a lot of alcohol at his place. This guy. What is... There's like confusion and there's just painful obliviousness. Come on, buddy. Let's go see what we have to see. What terrible secrets are left to be unearthed. The door opened now that the power was back on. Fancy that. But no power, apparently. A rusted old regulator of some kind sat dusty and unused against the wall. What? Planks, tools, and broken up parts blocked any further passage. The factory was like a tomb now. It never got repaired and we never came back. That's not really what a tomb is. Another smudge of dirt, similar to the one I found in those sewers, was on the floor. It didn't look like the footprints were mine, but they were probably too faint to tell. A large pile of building materials and debris blocked the way. The factory floor never did get the repairs it needed. We closed too soon for that to happen. So they're saying that the entire machining of this building was in a single room? Man, no wonder this factory closed. All the other rooms are lockers. It's like the least productive factory on Earth. The power box looked like it was running again. No shit, Sherlock. A rack of flashlights hung on the wall. One of them was missing. Wait a minute. They were exactly the same as the flashlight I was carrying. I turned mine over and looked at the bottom. Judging by the label, it definitely could have come from that rack, but there's blood on it. My foot hit the wet ground as I exited the factory, and I almost slipped in the muck. It sent a jolt up my leg, and the pain made my eyes water. In the dim light, I could see a darkened path before me. I didn't recognize it, but I hoped it led somewhere closer to town. I wanted to get away from that dead guard. Maybe whoever killed him was still... Just imagining that made my back tingle, like someone was standing right behind me. Who had gone through those lockers? What was anybody at all doing in the old plant? Maybe, I thought, Norman would have an idea. His store wasn't far down the main road. I've traveled long enough by myself. It was time I found some help. Yeah, about that. A pickup had smashed into the guardrail and stood silent. Was this the truck that those newspaper clippings mentioned? Was there really a body found here, too? I looked closer at the tailgate and could see a series of dried streaks down its back. Inside the trunk was dried blood and broken glass. I was surprised this hadn't been towed away yet. I'm kind of surprised that someone just left a murder site. Well, not murder site, but like a dead body stash, too. It's messed up. You live in a town with a disintegrating economy. Derp, 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 derp. Lots of rubbish bins. Sounded like it was going to start raining again. It just could be thunder and lightning. I had entered Norman's place. This was the back of the store that he ran. It was awfully quiet except for the faint sound of the television. Seriously, buddy? The entrance to the front of the store was locked from the inside. It looked like I couldn't just pop it open. It needed a key. There was a bit of blood on the keyhole. Gasp. That makes no sense whatsoever. This guy. This is like... What the hell? One of Rachel's old autumn coats hung on a rack. That was Norman's bedroom, wasn't it? What was this doing here? This guy. Seriously. There was a well-maintained gun cabinet here in Norman's room. I don't know much about guns, but it looked like he kept a few hunting rifles. I knew Norman hunted occasionally, but I didn't know him to be such a collector. Seriously, dude. A speck of something dark and wet stained one of the sleeves. It's a twist! Rachel is a murderer. You're so jaded you don't even comment on just like blood splattering everything now. What was this? It looked like a pull chain hanging from the ceiling. I wondered where it led. Did I pull the chain? Hell yeah. I gave the chain a single tug, and a simple folding ladder to the attic popped down. Oh no, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my coworker and one of the few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt were covered in blood. It looked like he'd been killed trying to get up. His eyes were still wide with shock. Norman, what was Rachel doing here? Why did you have her coat? Norman, maybe you deserved better. You probably did. Did I close his eyes? Nope. Sorry, Norman. But at that moment, I was too confused to worry about you. I needed to find Rachel, to find some answers. Also, you're crazy. I wonder how many people this town has, because he's murdered, like... Whoa. Whoa. Okay. There was a large cardboard box that hadn't been sealed. Did I open it? Yep. 99? 99? 99 what? 99? Whoa, man. Whoa, man. Okay, that's interesting. I think some of these are not so much things that I've missed before as just things that I hadn't gotten because of the options I chose. I guess this was Norman's kitchen table. He kept it clean enough, but there were water rings from 2 cups still there in the wood. I'd never been to Norman's place before. At least, I didn't remember ever doing so. The kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't dig through that mess, did I? Yep. I found a hairpin amongst the rotting food and trash and pocketed it. There were takeout containers and food scraps. Looked like Norman was eating for 2. Are you, like, a special kind of stupid? Seriously? Your buddy Norman's crazy as you are. That's his bedroom? Okay. Let's go into his store. I used the hairpin to pick the lock. The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. The general store was small, but it was clean. It had the usual things. Postcards, snacks, magazines, and canned goods. I never went there much. Rachel usually stopped by after work if we needed anything. The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines sat beside it. I wondered if someone had robbed the place before killing Norman upstairs. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. The icebox seemed to be unplugged. It must have been off for a while. Most of its contents were half melted. Blah, 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 poor Norman, with the crazy straps in his attic. There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. It looked to be in much better shape then. Of all the postcards, that one seemed to be the most popular. There were only a few left. Kind of